My beautiful people, we have a beautiful treat today. My dear friend Dr. Niikee is here with us. And I remember the moment where I felt I need to bring Niikee to the podcast because I've heard Dr. Niikee giving a transmission. All my conversation with her up until that point were more friendly conversations. So we knew each other from a certain container and we exchanged about different things in life. But then one day I heard her transmission and I was feeling so well treated and expanded and being taken care of that I've sent her immediately a message. Okay, Niikee, would you come to bless us all through this podcast? Welcome. Niikee is a mystic, a healer of healers, and with a beautiful long background in different aspects of healing and medicine and evolution and consciousness and awareness and so many beautiful things. We're going to share it here today. Niikee, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. What a privilege.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a privilege for everyone. I want us to start a little bit, if you feel comfortable, to start and sharing about the doctor and how from the doctor you moved away from the academy into the mysticism that probably was always within you and deeper into healing and herbalism, naturopathic, like all of this journey, your calling.
You're right. I think all of my life, as long as I can remember, that I've been drawn to the mysteries, all of the woo and the woohoo and all of whatever you want to call it. And I think my original bring into naturopathy, so natural medicine, when it was a sacred art when it was first in evolution. And it's only really been in the last decade or two that it's become hijacked by the Western system, where it's back to the prescribing pills, blood tests, blah, 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 blah. And so when I was drawn into that 30 years ago, it was all about helping people to help themselves, about empowering people, using all sorts of unusual and wonderful different ways to recreate balance and harmony. And I still feel that so strongly is the key to healing, is that the body heals itself in the right environment. And that's what it does. It's programmed to do that. And so how do we create the right environment? And that's not by trying to shove pills at it, but it's getting to the cause of why there became a disharmony or why there became an imbalance.
Yeah. I feel that once one person is choosing to work with frequency and with healing, is actually activating his life force just by this decision. The same life force that knows how to breathe, the same life force that knows that how the blood is moving, the same life force who gave this life and give additional life, birth and more life through the same body. So for me, healing is really an awakening of life force. It's the healer. I don't need to do almost anything. What I need is to remind the body and activate the life force of the body that will take that person physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to the next chapter of life, to the next day, to the next minute, to the next horizon.
Helping people to remember they're already that. We're already harmony. That's our core essence.
Yeah. This is so strong. You come with a lot of awareness of the physical body. And as you're speaking about harmony, I'm tapping into the glands that have a certain communication system, right? Like crystals around our inner globe, exchanging information and bringing us into balance slowly and taking care of us slowly.
Yeah, 100%. And again, in that right environment, that can keep itself in balance. And through our lives, we collect, even through our ancestry, we collect all of these patterns and programs that aren't our true nature or aren't aligned with our true nature. And so it starts to cause distortion in the energy. And when the energy is distorted, it can't flow properly. And then so wherever the distortion is in the body, mind, or spirit is where it's not able to reharmonize.
When you're saying environment, what do you have in your heart, in your mind when you use this word? Because that could have so many layers. It's the physical environment, right? But it's also an internal environment.
Yeah.
Correct?
100%. Yes.
Can you elaborate?
On all of those layers. So how we feed our physical with nourishment, proper nourishment. The reason we're of this earth is because the earth is here to nourish us in the physical capacity as well. So it's important that we're getting all the nourishment that we need, because again, then the body can't heal itself. The physical body can't heal itself. And then we've got the mental, emotional layers as well. In that environment, are we nourishing ourselves with balance in our lives, work-life balance? Are we nourished by our relationships? Are we nourished by our service or our work, our contribution to the world? There's all of those different layers.
And it is so important. When I hear you, are we nourished by our relationship? Are we nourished by even by our food? It's hard for me to avoid taking the conversation into speaking about modern society. And rush hour was 1 hour. Now it's rush hours. And this level of rush and the level of service that is coming, oh, I need to serve before I serve myself. I first serve others. And that in any industry, and even more, right, in the healing industry. So the healers themselves are programmed almost to heal others before they heal themselves. Even if their journey started by healing themselves, most of our journey started by healing ourselves. Like the wounded healer is not just an archetype that was invented. It's a real archetype. It's a real life experience, the wounded healer. But then you cannot help yourself from sharing with others and impacting others. And at the same time, there comes a moment where, again, you forget about yourself and you just serve and serve, because there's a level of how much you've healed. And you cannot take the healing service as the next level of your own healing. So you repeat the pattern of having others go first.
Yeah, and when I tune into that, which I do in people's energy quite a lot, that program, and it feels like a program that has been here with our collective energy for a long time, and it's almost like our worthiness comes from what we're able to do. And so that finding that from the outside is that overdoing a lot of the time as well. And it's that disconnection from that we're already that, which has been forgotten. So it's like we're doing everything on the outside to try and fill up the gap that needs to come from within.
So in your service, how do you create this shift? How did you create this shift for you, yourself?
Working through the distortions, like allowing that to be recognized, the patterns, and bringing that forward to harmonize, and then in that space of harmony, reconnecting to that which already is, and letting people remember that, to touch that, and to remember that. And because we do remember it, because it's already there. But to take away the distortion makes it easier. It's almost necessary, because as long as there's distortion, it's not smooth. It's not even able to open sometimes, because it's so shut down with negative programming. even though negative's not really a construct. It's another conversation.
Yeah, we can go there, but just I'm curious. I feel that I love that aspect. I love that aspect to come. When you're saying I'm clearing the distortion, but you do use herbalism, naturopathic, like you do use what the planet is offering. You do use telluric energies, right?
Yeah, so what I've come to be more aware of is what a lot of traditional medicine through the ages has recognized, that it's energy first. And so it's the actual distortions in the energy that prevent the physical from being able to re-heal. And so the physical becomes diseased. It becomes out of ease and creates disease. And so physical medicine to support the physical helps on that level. But fundamentally, the meta, so around the physical, the energy needs to be addressed as well. Otherwise, you get the repeating patterns. That in modern medicine, like people have to stay on the drugs because they're not actually addressing the
Healing.
underlying cause.
Exactly. They're not actually healing. They're not. So for me, part of this, when I call life force and I say this awakening of life force as a healer is, okay, this awakening to the connection to source. I love in the way that you work that there is such a beautiful combination of telluric energy, the energies that are coming from earth, the herbs, the water, the earth itself, and the energies that are coming from source. And both of them are at the use of awakening the spirit within, awakening the singularity, awakening the calling. Because I strongly 100% see it for myself, that every time that I'm aligning myself even more with my soul contract, every time that I allow more spirit to come in through me, I'm healthier, stronger. I'm like, there's a rebirth and a rebirth that is happening to me without the need to die in between. It's a rebirth upon a rebirth without dying.
Some of the energies I work with in my work, so I do work with the earth elementals, but I also work with cosmic elementals as well. And some of the light forms, like the sparks of creation, help to harmonize back in alignment with divine template, which is our original form. And so that feels like what you're describing, like it's literally the light is creating a harmonic on its own that brings us back into balance as well.
Yeah. It's almost like the collective consciousness, as they're aware that death exists, that there will be a moment where the physical body will cease to exist. So there's almost, okay, we're just going down. We're just going towards the end. Can we clear the end from our perspective, at least to have a certain decent life? Then you hide the death. People are not seeing, people dying, people are not saying goodbye. We can even say there's a period of time where the people who are aging towards this transition are really not in the spectrum, your visible spectrum. And I feel that in this consciousness, the option of really evolving and getting better with the time, getting better as you mature, is not an option. While I can feel that on myself, and I can definitely feel that on you, you get better and better as you mature.
Yeah, and it feels like it's becoming more and more in the awareness of people, which is wonderful. I think a lot of the others, they're just stuck in the old and they've actually got no idea that there's a different way.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel very grateful. I think we're lucky. We're lucky, aren't we, in that way that we've been able to allow ourselves to open to that.
Yeah. One of the teachers that I've learned with one time said, when you meet a teacher, and a teacher could be also your medicine, like the real medicine. When you meet a teacher, it means that you have good karma for this life. And if you meet a school, you have a great karma. And I love, right? And I love the fact that in your own journey, you tapped both to finding your medicine and also being in school and creating a school. Can you share with us a little bit what is in your creation, this school creation, this space that you're holding for other people, and the choice to create a school?
It's actually interesting how it came along, because I did work as an academic for quite a long time. And then as I was getting out of the academic world, it just what I was doing the rush hour, but 24/7 rush hour. Like as an academic, it's like there's just never enough hours in the day, and the desk piles just get higher. And it just got to the point where it just wasn't, I just knew at the core of me, even though I was getting offered really great jobs and stuff, and it was just like, no, it's just not how I see myself spending the rest of my life, being stressed and pushed into, like, even though I enjoyed it, but it was just not, it was time to leave. And so I just went back to do some contracting work just periodically. And then Spirit was even saying, no, don't even do that. You need to create space. And I had to really surrender everything. It was like Spirit wouldn't let me vision, because usually I vision for what's next, inspiration, always rolling with that. And there was just nothing. It was like, stop, space, stop, create space, nothing, just stop. And it wasn't until I 100% surrendered, not just thought I surrendered, the difference when we convince ourselves that we think this, but it's not until you actually do surrender. And then I received the download about providing service in another way, and it just opened the door really to working more with my spirit guides and other light beings and things, that even the earth, like I commune with trees and things like that as well, sometimes when they have such deep wisdom to share. And after years of working in that way and weaving it through my naturopathic practice, they were showing me different ways to work with energy. And then a few years ago, then it was like, okay, now you need to teach everyone else, you need to teach others what we're teaching you. And of course, at first I was like, oh, me? What do you mean, me? And then it was kind of, I'd been a clinical teacher for 15 years at that point, so it was who else, sort of thing. So it just became really. And then it was, I still had my resistance, like we all do, like, it's, can I, all of that sort of thing. And then it's just that, in that allowing and just trusting more and just allowing things to come through and into creation.
And the school?
So there's a beautiful school where I have a practitioner program, a foundational program. I originally had this idea I was going to teach everything in one program, but obviously in 6 months, I was like, I'm going to make them explode. It's like,
I'm sure they're exploding in any case.
So there's the foundational program, which has been going for a few years now. And so then there's an advanced program, which is really exciting. Some other little short courses just to help people understand how energy works. I guess my science training. It's funny how when I left the academia, I was thinking that I was on the wrong track. That's why I was taken off there. But then it all comes back around, that the skills in research, the skills in understanding the science and being able to explain it simply as well. Yeah. Being a teacher of that at the university as well, that it's just really, it all comes back together in that way too, which has been, comes the full circle then, doesn't it? That thing, reason for it.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. When you were saying, I had to slow down, Spirit stopped to speak with me, right? You said that. They were like, no, excuse me, we're not communicating about this topic because we don't want to proceed here, right? We cannot walk in this path. And how many times people are so insisting to continue in a certain path because they know it, because it's logic, because it makes sense. Even if there's no response from the universe, and then they're asking why I cannot get manifestation, why I'm not moving, why I'm not improving, because you cannot move on that path. And then once you move in this path, in the path of your heart, where your calling is, where your creation is, then there is this circulation happening. And it is happening in so many dimensions, in so many aspects. It's the giving and receiving that is happening, is the deepening of your own knowledge, of your own wisdom, of your own experiences. It's the embracing different aspects of your life. Everything, as you said, is coming together, and you're just like in a vortex living your life. Again, this quality of a rebirth upon a rebirth without dying in the middle. It's not that there's no challenges. I'm sure you had quite a lot of challenges to establish a school and start leading people and making sure that they don't get explode, right? But then I'm sure they will explode. But still it is, okay, let's come full circle again. Everything is coming together and we move to the next level. And we move to the next level. And every time the circle is bigger, there's more aspect coming forth. There's more people being involved. There's a depth in your own life experience. And the circles are just getting bigger and bigger. In time, in space, in connection, in wisdom. You feel that?
And I love that, yeah. And it's easier. I think most of my challenges came in my resistance. We're trying to avoid doing the things that we know in our heart could be possible, but then we're stuck in the old matrix of what we feel like we have to do this job because that's what we have to do to make money and pay the bills and all the blah, 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 blah. And then that's where I found personally I ran into the most problems because it's not allowing the flow. And I've found the more that I'm allowing and trusting and surrendering, this beautiful co-creation. And so it gets easier when you allow that, and trust that it is a co-creation and you're getting carried by spirit because we're already that.
Yeah, we're being carried by spirit. And the moment where suddenly your mind think that now it's your time and you need to pull the wagon, right, and do the work. And how much it is actually the work is to relax and let the mind relax and allow only a divine intervention and not a human intervention. Yeah, it's almost in any project, in everything I can experience it, almost in everything that I do, there's a moment that suddenly I think that I need to do now. Now I need to do. And it is many conversations that I'm having with my mind, telling him, relax, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to be wonderful. There's no need to move. You don't need to decide.
I think that's been one of the most difficult things that I've had to work through. Like from being a workaholic, I'm actually from a long line of workaholics as well. So
Yeah.
Spirit put me in the perfect place to overcome a pattern that's lineage of just overdoing everything. And even when it was in my awareness that, like when I left the university, that I needed to do less and allow more, whilst I knew it theoretically, it was difficult to change the old patterns because that's how I'd achieved my whole life before that, was just doing and overdoing. And so it was a real unlearning, having to unlearn that, and just really being more in my body has helped with that because I can feel it now. When it's overdoing, I feel it, whereas I never used to because it's just doing and getting excited about everything as I do. And so then I still think it's fun, but I'm overdoing. And so it's still not in that surrender and allowing.
Yeah. This is a quote by itself to share, to remember the way that you can walk. Apparently, you cannot even realize. We started this conversation when we spoke before, and I told you I had layers of shame that were so much my skin that I wasn't even thinking that I have layers of shame. If there's a habit and there's a pattern that is so well established, and plus you're saying genetically established, so you don't think that your hair can be different, you don't think that your lips can be different, you don't think you would move differently. But then consciousness put you here in order to lead this transformation back home into the freedom, into the liberation, into the truth, into the expansion, into the nature, our true nature.
Certainly, isn't it? It's all the gift that our soul desired to walk through.
But it needs this moment where you like scratch your eyes and move your head and shake your system from the inside and doubt yourself in a way that opens things out instead of doubting yourself like most of the people are doubting themselves. And then it takes them into self-pity, it takes them into limitation, while you doubt yourself in order to open even more. It's just this heart intention that is saying, deep in my heart, I know my mightiness. Deep in my heart, I know that I am an extension of divinity. Deep in my heart, I know that everything here is for me and as me. Deep in my heart, I am aware. Can I gift myself a full experience? Can I gift myself the possibility to be present in that knowing and make that knowing the truth?
Mentioning before about this awareness about needing to do less, but then actually doing less was like, it wasn't the same thing. An awareness of and then a being, isn't it? It's as it moves through and it becomes a deepening over time. And then it's almost like the amount of times there's been like something and then I've got another layer of understanding and I think, oh, now I get it. And then there's another layer and you're like, oh, now I get it. And then the next, oh, now I get it. Isn't it almost like this continued?
Yeah, I'm sure like when you start with the doing less, you think that what you mean is, okay, instead of doing 6, you do 3. This is like the mind is saying, oh, instead of doing 6, I'm just going to do 3. But then you understand that it's not about doing less in the sense you can still do 6, but you just less do it.
Yeah, totally. With that trust, isn't it? Less over processing about the action of doing it.
Exactly.
There you go. Rather than
let it be done through you.
All the stories.
Yeah. I was laughing so much. Yeah. Oh, this is such a magic, this insight. I hope that the listeners here just open themselves to the option that doing less is not doing less. It's not just doing less in the quantity, doing less hours. It's just less in the doing.
Which becomes less hours anyway. I've worked less my whole life and everything's just easier.
Yeah.
But I'm serious. I used to rarely get days off and it was just always a push and a struggle, and it just doesn't feel like that anymore in that allowing. It's just that allowing and that creating space around things as well.
Yeah. And it is creating space for itself. It's incredible, Niikee, how many conversations we had on the podcast that it goes again and again to the level, the ways that you're holding space for your vision, for your soul, for divinity. You as a space holder until you become the space.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true, isn't it? Just all that interconnectedness and that beingness, isn't it, in that way, and the witness of allowing.
Yeah. Thank you, my beautiful friend, for sharing with us all of your wisdom and your light and your magic.
Thank you. Thank you too. It's a pleasure to see you and to chit chat.
Thank you.